Hello, friends. Hello, friends. A tradition unlike any other.
Oh, my goodness. In your life, have you seen anything like that?
There it is! Adam Scott, a life changer. Mashed potato!
Here it comes.
This is the 19th Tee podcast. Kieran Marsh, Nathan Drudy with you for another week. Drudy, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, KM. In the words of Big Kev, mate, I am excited for this one.
Enormous episode coming our way. A review of the 2021 WPGA Championship. We're not going to dilly-dally though, Druids. We are going to crack open a beer thanks to our great mates at Gage Roads Brewing Company right off the very top. Of course, WA's premier craft brewery, named after the strip of ocean between Rottnest and Fremantle. And it's a special beer tonight, Druids, because we've never done this. We've never cracked a beer so early to toast a guest. But it's necessary this evening. If you'll indulge me for a moment, this young man, our guest this evening, first joined us about 14 months ago as a fresh-faced 20-year-old amateur off the back of his win at the Australian Amateur. You fast forward 14 months and about 100 episodes, and he joins us now having etched his name onto the Joe Kirkwood Cup. I speak, of course, of our 2021 Australian PGA champion, Jed Morgan. Jed, welcome back to the 19th Tee, mate.
Thank you. I reckon you've got your timeline wrong because it was 2020 that I won the Australian Amateur, so it couldn't have been 14 months ago.
Couldn't have been 14 months. How am I going? Where are we? We started 20. Oh, yeah, shit. We're at the start of 2022. Well, thanks, mate. It's been great to have you. That'll about do us for this evening. It's really good.
I was wondering how quick I could finish this off.
I also love the fact that we've got you laying down. I know this has come at the end of an awfully long 48 hours and a number of media commitments. So I thoroughly enjoy that you are as comfortable with us as you are, that you feel as though you can conduct this from your bed.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Not bad at all.
Now, look, we're going to get into the serious stuff, and it's going to be plenty of that because obviously, what have we got? We've got youngest ever winner. We've got equal scoring record. We've smashed Greg Norman's record for the margin. And I'm sure if you had $1 for every time you've heard those three stats in the last 48 hours, you probably would have doubled your prize purse. So we'll get to all that shit because that's important. But I want to start off with the really important question, which is I think is what most of our listeners would be interested in. And that's, could you take us through the 12 hours that followed you dropping the putt on Sunday afternoon? Because I've seen a variety of things. First and foremost, I saw a couple of videos that looked like some absolute scenes from the Royal Queensland Clubhouse on Sunday.
Oh, my God.
We then spoke last night on the podcast, Jed, to Laurie Flynn, who speculated that he wouldn't be surprised if he'd fell asleep in a garden bed somewhere at Royal Queensland. I then heard you on Melbourne radio this morning throwing your lovely girlfriend Ellie under the bus, and big shout out to Ellie for probably pulling this interview again together for us on the Instagram account. You've thrown Ellie under the bus this morning, suggesting she's done a bit of redecorating of the bathroom at 4 a.m. on Monday morning. Yeah. So what I want to know is, can you walk us through, I suppose, the 12 hours after, and can you confirm, does winner's piss in fact taste better?
It sounds like you already know what I did.
I may have an idea, general idea.
I don't need to tell anyone anything by the sounds of it. It's been pretty good, and yes, winner's piss does taste better. It's funny how that come about because I was with one of the boys in the golf club after. Obviously, we finished all the interviews and all the media. Like immediate media requests straight after. Had a couple of beers while I was waiting around for it all to get over and done with. Went upstairs to the golf club. We got written off pretty quickly, which was nice. It didn't take me too many because I was pretty shafted, but yeah, only took about 2 or 3. Winner's piss come about. One of the boys I used to work with, Jimbo, and I'm good mates with him now. Jimbo Mee, his name is. And we were giving shit to Aaron Wilkin, which is another boy, another one of the boys that, is I guess in the friendship group of some of the boys on tour. And he just wanted me to send this video to him, and I was half cut, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." And he goes, I was like, he got me to say something. I forget what he got me to say. You might even know. It sounds like you know it better than I do, but Yeah, we in the golf club. The golf club, funnily enough, RQ's got some tradition with a pennant song that we usually sing. It's for "He's a Jolly Good Fellow," and I just got everyone to sing that as well, so that was good. That was when we're probably at our loudest, I reckon.
How did Monday morning feel, mate?
Yeah, as I said, my girlfriend definitely felt the worst of it. She was up at 4:30 decorating, so it was. I didn't see the decorations, but she must have cleaned it. So,
oh, mate, that's excellent. I got to ask a question about Louis Dobler, mate. How disappointed are you in his effort with the champagne bottle on the 18th green? Because I don't reckon a drop came out of that thing. He needs some serious technique work.
I got covered in more water, I reckon. So I don't know who ran in. There was 4 or 5 people that ran in, but
I think it was Dave Michelozzi with the Mount Franklin who was sharing
that's
right. Water.
That's right. I saw the photo. That's who it was. I couldn't quite make out who it was, but yeah, it was him. I didn't get covered by much of the champagne until he started to pour it on top of my head, but that's about it. So must have been a dodgy bottle. I don't know.
I reckon it's probably
or he's just got spaghetti arms. Old Louis just trying to shake it up.
He's got pencil arms. There's nothing on him.
He's coming on next week, and that's certainly one of the questions that we will be posing to him about what's going on.
You got to bring up when he gets on why his nickname is Atlas. Because every time, he'll know exactly what I mean. But every time we get on the pitch, he promises the world, but he gives you a globe. So,
goodness me, yeah,
that's outstanding. I absolutely love that.
I'm not going to take credit for that nickname because I definitely didn't come up with it, but you might have had him on the show. I think it might have been it was Jack Thompson who came up with that. So he's pretty witty, but
also coming on shortly.
So we'll ask Louis about Atlas, and then we'll ask Jack about the origins of the nickname before we go any further.
It came about when we were all living together in America for, I guess, 6 months, and we got on the piss a little bit there a couple of times, and each time Louis promised the world but delivered a fucking Atlas.
All right, let's talk a bit of golf. I don't want to get too serious for too long, but one thing that stood out to me, Jed, I was reading a fair bit of coverage that came out, Sunday night into Monday, and there was a nice quote that came from you. I don't even know if you remember saying it, but it stood out to me because it was just a bit different from the Jed that we'd experienced, and the first time we speak to you, that we've spoken to a number of times away from the podcast that we've got in the first 15 minutes tonight, which is the jovial, the Hatton Vale boy, the joker. Yeah. You said that the best thing you did last week was just be yourself. And that really kind of stood out to me because I've taken a little journey. I was walking around a few holes watching you on Thursday, and it felt as though that crowd that was following you, you'd had that experience at the amateur at RQ a couple of years ago, but not to the extent of a PGA and not with the big grandstands around and the cameras following you. And to be fair, on Thursday, it did feel as though it was a little uncomfortable for you. But as the week progressed, it seemed as almost like you flicked a switch and said, fuck it, I'm just going to be me. And whatever happens, happens. But that clearly, come Sunday afternoon, reap rewards. So can you talk us through, was there a particular moment where you thought, there's no point trying to be something I'm not? I'm just going to embrace the experience and the opportunity the next couple of days, and we'll see where we end up.
Yeah, I think that it stems from like my junior golf. I just had a lot of people comment on how either up or down I was, whether I was playing well or not well, and it stems from that. And the amount of comments not that I was horrible. I definitely was still 16, 17, trying to understand what anger was. But I'm someone who overthinks quite a bit of stuff, and I'm trying to move more towards the other way. I'm definitely not going to stop being the person who overthinks things, but you definitely need to work out what's relevant and what's irrelevant. But in terms of that, it stems from the younger, like when I was a bit younger and couldn't quite handle what people would say to me. So I took things quite personally in terms of that and tried to become like quite, I guess, stoic and unbothered by things, not pumped up by things. And it just moved me away from, I guess, the reason why you play professional or amateur sport and then professional sport, and that's to be excited, to be angry, to be sad, interact with people, and especially myself as a person, I think thrives off of that type of stuff, and that's why I thrive the most. I think at the crowd, and started at the amateur, and I basically after the amateur I played well at the Vic Open, then made a lot of changes. I think like in myself and in my swing, just because I thought that's what you need to do to get better. You need to change who you are, but you don't. You just need to discover who you are. There's a big difference in that, and I can't tell people how I've done it because they don't know. I've just tried, and eventually stumbled across what I thought was right. Kind of a bit of trial and error, and figured it out.
The passion, the passion that we saw on the greens predominantly, but the big come-ons, the big fist bumps, like I couldn't help but smile every time I saw that, and it's so unusual in a good way to see a golfer doing that, and it was just so refreshing. And I think to piggyback off Marshy's point there, that was sort of the guy that we picked up from our interview with you the first time, not 20 months ago, that we picked up in that interview. That was just who you were. And it wasn't like you were trying to be someone else. It wasn't a facade at all. You were just genuinely so pumped, I guess, in your performance, in where you were going. I guess it's not even a question here. It's just more of a comment, but is that accurate? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm definitely that person. I don't know, if people comment on what you're doing. That's just part of being a human. Like, you just got to deal with the bad shit people say. And I think I've taken it the wrong way in terms of that type of stuff. And I just needed to be honest and true to what I do. And I had to do that week because I just said, it started at kind of Jeff Ogilvy's event in late December last year. Just went a bit more into my own world focused kind of thing, and we didn't have the crowds to be able to interact with like we did at the PGA. But I don't know, I threw a fist bump by accident on 12. To be honest with you, it was by accident. It went in for eagle, and I just kind of fist pumped, and I was like, oh shit. I probably look like a wanker there, but that's the thing. That's what I thought. I just thought if you throw fist bumps stuff, you're a wanker, because that's what a lot of people say in golf, because you're supposed to be quiet and whatever. But I just hated it. I don't. It's not me. It's so difficult for me to be quiet. Coming from so many team sports and a rowdy, I guess, atmosphere in terms of team sport and being at school and shit. So I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to see what it would look like. It would go one of two ways. People would either hate me or like it the way they did. So it was kind of a trial and error thing, but it felt so good because I needed to get out of my mind and out of my body and have an experience.
I was going to hold on to this a little later, but you brought up the fist pump. I loved it personally, but one piece of feedback from me is, can we make a decision about whether we're going to pump the fist or point the finger? Because there were times where you're going with some weird fucking hybrid model of like a fist pump, and it just got a little bit awkward. That's probably the only time in my mind you did look like a wanker, when you couldn't choose if you wanted to point your finger or pump your fist. I think if we just commit to one, that's probably going to work going forward.
Nah, fuck it. Combine the both.
Also,
as I said, that's the first time I've done it ever really. So I've got some shit to work on by the looks of it.
Speaking of first time we've done things as well, I'm interested to know how long you think baby will be a thing when you stick it to 4 or 5 feet in a par 3 off the tee, because that was very entertaining on Sunday afternoon. But I'd love to know, are we going to see that at Nudgee this week when you go out for the Queensland PGA, just on maybe Thursday, we just stick it to 3 feet on a par 3 and give us a baby off the tee?
There's 2 things I wish I didn't say, and that was on the 9th hole in the final round. I said let's go, and I've never fucking said let's go in my life. And then baby, I don't know where the hell that came from, but I just wanted I knew if I hit it on there, I knew everyone was going to go nuts, especially the boys in the back. they were all maggots. So I knew if I did that, and everyone would just go off. So I was just like, I just yelled something, and yeah, baby, by accident. So.
How did you find 17 through the week? Because, we mentioned the immense support you had, obviously playing your home track at Royal Queensland throughout the week, but it all seemed to culminate at 17 every day. And there's a variety of reasons for that. I imagine serving piss from 9 a.m. in the morning is a big factor in that. But watching you kind of walk up there on Thursday, it's almost like it hit you a bit by surprise, because you got there and it was almost like a scene out of Gladiator. Like they were chanting your names, Jed, Jed, Jed up the back. And you kind of like walked up on the tee and it was like, oh shit, there's a bit going on here. So I wonder how you kind of handled that each day then, particularly when, it became obvious that you were going to win the tournament, and you kind of maybe just started to embrace that a little bit more on 17.
That first day, I didn't expect so many people to be in there on a Thursday for one. But I guess if you paid for one of the tickets, you wanted to get your money's worth, that's for sure. I didn't expect that. Like I expected support, but yeah, it was sick. That's kind of what started it all. And stuck it in there pretty tight that day. I was nervous as shit on that tee box. That's probably the most nervous I was all week. That first time I stood on 17 and managed to hit it on and nearly made the putt. But yeah, just to get a bit of that noise going, which is cool. I'd never experienced anything like that. Or been in a tournament set up where it is set up like that for them to be able to play music in your putting stroke and your backswing. I love it. Like it doesn't have to be as quiet as what the game actually is. Obviously, it's part of the history and I guess the gentleman aspect of the game. But we're in a modern world where if you want bigger crowds, they've got to have more fun. So I'm all for players interacting more and yeah, I'm all for that shit. So as the week went on that hole, I was excited to step on that tee every day. I think the only day I didn't have any like anyone in the background was when I teed off at Sparrowfart on Friday morning. Saturday, Sunday was sick.
That's amazing to hear because, we're certainly been big advocates of music playing and everything like that. So you're certainly not alone in having those thoughts. Must be asked, Jed, how big of an advantage is playing the Aussie PGA on your home deck? Must be significant. You obviously know where the breaks are, you know where to hit it, you know where not to hit it. But in your words, how big of an advantage is that to be playing on your home track?
Well, around that particular joint, it's absolutely massive. I just watched guys like make mistakes that I've made before a million times, but because I've played there a million times, I just knew exactly when not to fucking hit it. Like it started in the amateur. I noticed how much of an advantage it was to be a member there and to know exactly where the slopes were and everything. And I noticed like my scores in terms of the margins I won by, were definitely driven from how well I knew the place because my mistakes were so much smaller than other people, especially going over the backs of greens and leaving it like especially on the good putting surface, leaving in spots where you just cannot even two putt. So it's massive. It is massive there, and I won't lie or sugarcoat that. I was fortunate, very very fucking fortunate. And played a huge part, definitely.
But you still got to go out and execute the shot, mate. That's the thing as well.
Yeah, that was the cool thing is I knew. Yeah, I just fully know that place like the back of my hand. I love playing that golf course. I thought it would play a lot harder. Not saying I didn't play really awesome, but there was 2 new tees that made it like probably 50 meters longer on both the holes, and I still managed to birdie a couple of those each 2 days. But yeah, it was amazing. It was honestly amazing.
I guess when you're leading by such an enormous margin and it's so well referenced throughout the broadcast, obviously sitting over here in Perth, watching it, I mean, it was almost a bit of a foregone conclusion by the time Sunday rolled around that you were gonna be the victor. There was me and Marshy were texting back and forth, and I think even Friday night, Marshy, we might have said, like, I think this is it. Like, I don't think anyone's going to catch Jed from here. Was there a moment that you kind of knew in your head? I mean, you go in with, what was it, 9-shot lead or something going into the final round? Like, you must have walked on the first 10 and go, fuck, no one's catching me at all.
Nah, definitely. I didn't want to. Doubt definitely holds me, like, keeps me honest for sure. I would love to have been able to tell everyone, yeah, nah, I knew I was going to win. Honestly, I fucking knew no one's catching me, but all I could think about was just don't fucking choke. It's been so long since I've won it's been a few years now since I've won a 4-round tournament where I've had to put 4 good rounds together to hold off an entire field. Because obviously that last victory was the Australian Amateur, and that was match play. And it's, every golfer will tell you that it's completely different. So I haven't won a 4-round tournament for a long time, and let alone on the stage that I did it on in the tournament. I did it, and I'm just so happy with myself. And I never once, until I hit the green on 17, there was a couple of shots in the back nine where I thought, shit, that's massive. Hopefully that helps. 13, I made a putt for birdie, and guys would have been making bogey left, right, and centre. I was like, shit, that helps again. But yeah, not until I hit it on 17 green, I was like, all right, I've fucking won this thing.
Your face, I think it might have been 16. Was it 16 you went left and had a nothing shot on 16? You managed to walk away with a par. You dropped a pretty big putt, I think, to have a par save on 16. And your face, or was it 15 when you had the drop?
I had to drop it, out of the hazard,
I think it might have been 15, because your face when you dropped that putt, it was like you say 17 is where it registered for you, but there was a sense of relief in your facial expression that it was like, okay, maybe that's my life. You know, I've been fortunate not to go, completely into the water. I still had to take my medicine, but I'll still come out of this okay. And I've got 3 holes to go here. I can kind of enjoy myself, because it seemed from that point forward. I mean, obviously we had the release of emotion on 17. We stick the tee shot, and then 18 it just seemed like a fucking fun walk, to be honest, mate. Like, we just put it in the fairway and enjoyed. So those last kind of 3 or 4 holes must have been a pretty surreal experience for you.
Yeah, 15, I had a dog shit shot, like from the middle of the fairway. It was perfect lie, easy pin to get to. Just had to hit on the front left and 2-putt for birdie. And I would have felt much better standing on 16. I didn't completely know where I was. I knew I had 9 shots standing on 15T, but Lou was playing decent, so there's no reason he could have birdied like the last 4 and I could have bogeyed the last 4 and everything changes. But to hit that's like, I hit it in the piss twice on 15. I never hit it in the piss in any round ever, and I made par both times, and that was huge. But like, just I think any golfer will tell you this, but when you win, or if you're doing really well, it's like when you take your medicine like that. I could have tried to hit it, left it in the hazard, taken 7, maybe still 1, but not quite in the fashion that I did it. And I took the drop because I was like, I just need to get up and down for par. I back myself to get up and down for par. I hold that 20, 22, 23 footer, and it looks sick. I saw the replay and it looked sick when that went in. And I was able to pass 16, 17, 18. So
did anything... Sorry, you go, mate. You finish.
Yeah, sorry. The biggest thing I wanted to do once I knew what all the history was is just break that, like the winning margin. I just wanted to break that. The scoring record would have been cool to have, definitely. But to equal that and then smash to beat the winning margin was something that definitely had my eyes on.
And I mean, with the greatest respect to Peter Lonner, Nick Ahern's been a great guest on this podcast. It's way better to say that you beat Greg Norman's record than it is to beat Nick Ahern and Peter Lonner's record.
Nick, I saw Nick for the first time. I actually met him for the first time this week, and bloody legend.
Lovely fella.
Obviously, he's so involved, I think now with Australian golf and obviously Australian commentary that hopefully it continues to move forward for him and obviously the industry as well. But to tie his record and smash Greg Norman's record was pretty sick.
Did anything surprise you about the way that you played across the 4 days? Because it didn't seem to have an area of weakness. Like, you did some things outstandingly well, but you didn't let yourself down in any area of the game. And I read another quote from you that said when you were entering Thursday, you just didn't want to miss the cut on your home track because you thought that'd be embarrassing. So to come out and finish at 22 under, you know, you look at things like, I think through 54 holes, you only had 78 putts, which is pretty fucking stupid, to be honest. There you go. So less than 80 putts through 54 holes is ridiculous. You drove exceptionally well. You scrambled well when you needed to. Was there any part of your game that surprised you how well you played across the 4 days?
I think when you putt that well, I putted unbelievable. I drove the ball unbelievable, and that kind of took it apart from tee to green. I just was able to have such easy approaches because I drove the ball so well. But I just putted like that. Obviously, that's what holds rounds of golf together, and that's what makes rounds of golf is your putting. Like, if you drive it like as well as I did, I know I'm patting myself in the back with that, but I did. I drove it fucking awesome, and I putted even better. And I couldn't have asked for a better performance from the tee box and then on the greens as well. Hitting it into the greens around there, 20 feet sometimes is a really, really good golf shot. So it's not like you're hitting into a green into Woomba and it spins back to a foot every time or whatever. But yeah, sometimes 20 feet there is good, and you have to make putts to win golf tournaments. And I look back and I think to all the tournaments I've played well, I've driven the ball unbelievable and I've putted unbelievable. So the iron play can be somewhat off, and it wasn't the best I've had ever, my iron play, but it's definitely the best I've driven the golf ball under the pump, and it's the best I've ever putted under the pump.
Mate, the prize money is obviously, certainly public knowledge is around, as to what, you walk away with. And for anyone, 180 grand is life-changing money. But for a kid, I call you a kid, you're probably fucking bigger than me and Marshy, but
not probably.
Yeah, no, actually, definitely. for a guy your age, I mean, that's an incredible sum of money. I mean, how does that set you up, I guess, financially moving forward for the future for what you want to achieve with your golf? I've seen on the internet an article that mentioned what your first purchase is going to be, but maybe you can inform everyone else what your first purchase is going to be. How does that set you up for the next couple of years anyway?
So I'm playing Nudgee Golf Club this week, and to get there quickest, I can use fucking tolls now. Previously, I couldn't bloody afford tolls, so I'll definitely be putting some money in my linked account so I can use that bloody toll.
Is that just to clarify? We'll be going through the Clem 7 and then potentially across the Gateway, or just the Gateway? Yeah.
I'll use both all week just because I can.
Just because I fucking can.
I can't wait for people to hear this. They're just going to think I'm a wanker.
No, they're not.
But yeah, no, I'm hopefully going to buy a king size bed.
Mate, you could buy 180 king size beds.
Just so my girlfriend stops kicking me in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ellie will be happy. She'll be thrilled.
Yeah, she'll be keen. But I think that's the only thing I really want. I don't spend money like it's going out of fashion, really, because one, I'm going to need it for the next year because there's going to be hopefully a few more trips to overseas, both the US and Europe. This sets up a little bit more opportunity and opens shitloads of doors that I'm going to need plenty of money for. So, yeah, I'll buy a new bed. I might buy a new pair of Iron Worms boots just because I've got a pair there, but just because, I don't know.
Upgrade.
Why not?
Yeah, I bought the cheap ones. So I bought the $600 ones. Obviously, it's not cheap, but nearly sent myself broke doing it. But they got these Premier Series things out there, $1,000, and
you got to get your dress ups. You got to get your dress up RMs.
Yeah, my dress ups. Yep.
Yeah, your dress up RMs. How you mentioned the year ahead. Have you let yourself? I mean, we can talk frankly here. I don't think anyone's catching you on the order of merit, and I think you're absolutely assured of wrapping up one of those DP World Tour cards, being they go to the top 3 on the order of merit. Has there been a point at the last 2 days you've let yourself kind of cast your mind forward to what the year looks like? And obviously you've got some decisions to make as well around heading off to potentially Corn Ferry Tour school as well. So I suppose it's opened a lot of doors, right? And I'm sure there's been moments for you in the last day or two where you've thought, shit, the money's great, 180 grand's fantastic, but it's probably more the opportunities at an early stage of your career that it's opened up that I would imagine are more impressive to you.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I've told this story a couple of times now, but my mum made us all of our. I'm one of 4 kids, and we had a big family Christmas. She made us all write down and put it in an envelope what we wanted to achieve in the 1 year, in that whole calendar year. And I put down last year to achieve a touring card. So I got that luckily in Australia, and then this year I put in there to make 100 grand, and I've blitzed that. So that was pretty sick. But
can you start setting yourself some difficult goals, please, mate? What's going on?
I was like, oh yeah, I'll make 100 grand in Australia. That's a pretty good effort. That's a lot of good goals, especially with the purses of some of these events. But yeah, the opportunities that it's created overseas is that's the biggest thing, because I wanted to make the 100 grand, sorry, and I wanted to have the touring card. But the biggest thing is I just wanted so badly to have somewhere overseas to play, because it's where all the talent and all the big money in tournaments is, and history's overseas. There's obviously history in the big events here in Australia, but to be a world-class competitor, you've obviously got to compete around the world and start chasing all the Aussie boys out on tour.
Last one from me, mate, before we let you go. Your ranking, just FYI, I don't know if you know this, I'm sure you do, but it's gone from 1,515th the week prior up to 210th in the world. So I'm not sure there's ever been a bigger jump that we've seen on this podcast anyway, but 210th in the world, mate. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'll actually tell you why it's jumped so big. I didn't know this until today. Well, one, because I've only got probably 4 events in there that count towards my professional world ranking. But so the PGA actually pushed this week to have, so they get double points for one event, and they chose the Aussie event, the Australian Open every year to get the double points for world ranking points, just because it's the prestige event. But because it hasn't happened in the last 2 years, and I don't know if it's happening this year, they pushed pretty hard for the winner of this week to get double points. And fun enough, on Monday, Nick Datsy said that, and Kim Felton, they confirmed that it got double world ranking points. So I've had the fucking week of my life, I'll tell you that. It's never ending. All the shit that I've gained from this week, and I have no idea why it's happened to me. Everything seems to have just lined up so perfectly for this 1 week. Hopefully it does a couple more weeks of this year. It'd be great. And yeah, I'm just so over the moon, and the accolades of it, I think they just keep coming. I don't even know all these things, and I keep getting reminded and told of all these things, and I'm just like, fuck, am I fucking the luckiest person on the earth right now?
All right, one more serious one before we finish on a few funnies. Do you have any concept of what it will be like to walk back into Royal Queensland as a defending champion when we go through the PGA again at the end of this year, and the expectation and the hype and the build up to what that event will be? Because I think it's one thing to win, our premier event in your 4th professional start. It's another thing to do that on your home track, and to know that you're going back there again the following year. So I know it's a while away. There's a lot of water under the bridge, and we've spoken about all the things that you got ahead of you this year, but I'm sure that you've already got that marked in the calendar, and what that will be like to walk back in there, not just as an RQ member, but as a defending champion of the Australian PGA.
Yeah. I remember I had to defend, obviously, the Aussie Amateur, and it was a bit different because it was changed to stroke play. but I did a shit job of defending that. I missed the cut. So I know somewhat what it's like to defend a championship that you've won the year before, but yeah, I really don't know what to expect. It's the purse is upped. I'm sure there'll be. I hope there's international players, so the field's just stronger and there's bigger crowds, there's higher attractions. Hopefully, after I guess what I've done this year, then there's more. The crowds are big. I just want bigger crowds, and I'm sure that everyone in Australia wants that, and bigger sponsorships, because we've got such an awesome country to play golf in. Like, we're not missing anything other than sponsorship. Like, if we just have this, if we had a similar amount of sponsorship to the US or Europe, like, no Aussie would leave Australia. It's just that fucking good here. And I'm sure everyone on that tour will second that. But obviously, the reason you want to play overseas is, one, the competition, but two, there's bigger money. So I just hope this event and the tour just continues to grow forward, and I hope all of us players can make a positive impact on that in the next few years with the relationship they got going with the DP World.
Fingers crossed you can return the favour and host Smithy at your house next year when he comes back to play at the PGA.
There is no way that he will say that he's staying at my house.
All right. A couple of quick ones to finish. If you had to try and predict what year in the 2030s do you think it will be before you pay for another drink at Royal Queensland?
2030s. Fuck. 2039.
There you go. Good. Excellent. Second, have you had any contact from the Lockyer Valley Shire Council about shutting down Fairway Drive and Hutton Vale for a ticker tape parade?
I actually haven't just yet. I'll be putting in a request.
I would have thought so. And just finally, and this requires you potentially to throw someone under the bus. Actually, no, there's two more. Lastly, how quickly, either in person or via text, did you message your good mate Louis Dobler after smashing his course record the day after? He held it for 24 hours and you thought, no, bugger that. I'll take that back. Thanks very much.
Yeah, that was just another fucking bullshit thing that happened. I hold a 12-footer on the last for it too, and I sort of wasn't thinking about it. And I got told after, you just beat Louis' record. I felt good because I didn't want that little prick to hold it. especially over me by one shot. Neither of us hate losing to. Neither of us like losing to each other. So yeah, I think we just make each other better.
I'm sure Spaghetti Arms will love that. And just finally, and this might require you to throw someone close down on the bus, but I'm just curious as to which member of your inner circle do you think has enjoyed this moment the most? Because there's a couple of examples here. Your brother Link couldn't wait to get himself on television by jumping all over you on the 18th green on Sunday afternoon. Your beautiful mum, Julie, has been incredibly active on the social media. I think we've got more DMs from her than we've ever had from you in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Has she been messaging you guys?
Yeah, Jules and us are great friends. We're grandmates, which is excellent. It's been fantastic to see her passion, but she's certainly enjoyed the moment, I think, as any proud mum would. And then, as you mentioned, Ellie maybe overindulged more than anyone. So I'm just wondering which member of your inner circle you think enjoyed the moment even more than you did.
Probably Lincoln. Like, he was a tosser. He's on the piss since, I guess, like 12 o'clock that day. So an 18-year-old on the piss in front of a crowd that he's comfortable in front of. It just is a recipe for disaster. So, he loved it. My mum tried to get on the speaker at the golf club. Oh, so funnily enough, Lincoln snatched the speaker, the microphone out of my hand, dropped a couple of F-bombs, and a couple of members nearly dropped dead. My mother tried to get on there, and that probably would have been worse. So I said, no, you're not getting on here. And then, obviously, Ellie can't handle her piss. So, I reckon all three of them enjoyed it pretty equally.
You were the adult.
Well, based off that, I'm looking forward to the Julie Morgan interview on the 19th Tee podcast. That'll be outstanding.
Don't be doing that.
Look, mate, we're very grateful for your time. We should probably let you go to bed in the little. What are you rocking? The Queen. It's obviously clearly not a king, but you've got a tournament to play this week. Yeah, you're rocking the Queen.
I'm rocking the Queen.
I think, obviously you've got parents, but I think for Drudes and I, this is like a proud parent moment to see you go on and achieve the way in which you have this week, mate. It was awesome not only to be out there and watch it in person myself, but also then to see, just how you went about your business across the weekend. So a massive congratulations from us. We very much look forward to seeing what the rest of the summer looks forward to, and then obviously the rest of the year. And I think that this may become a hopefully semi-regular thing when you win and you come on this podcast, because it's been a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys have got an awesome thing going here, and it's definitely, the funnest podcast I've had on. Most fun I've had on a podcast, in like ever. So anytime you want me on here, I'm happy to get on and have a yarn to you. So thank you for having me again.
Maybe next time you just don't need to piss on my intro. Just
Maybe you just get your facts right. Yeah, exactly right.
Get it fucking right.
Look, mate, you've had a pretty fucking good weekend. I just don't have to pull me up on these sorts of things, all right?
Yeah, well, I did.
Good on you, Jedi. Thanks for your time, mate. Really appreciate it, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, Rudy. Thanks, Kieran. I'll see you boys later, eh?
Well, there he is, Drudes. Jed Morgan, your 2022 Australian PGA champion. Look, I know we kind of picked it apart in great detail there with Jed, but probably just your immediate thoughts. We cover golf on this podcast from around the world, men's and women's, week in, week out. And honestly, when I sat there watching the closing holes on Sunday, I was scratching my head to recall a more complete performance that we've seen in recent memory.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good call. 22 under par, just enormously in control across 4 rounds as well. 11-shot victory is enormous at any level, let alone at our major event of the year, I guess. So, yeah, it was dominant. I don't think there's any other way that you can describe it other than dominant. To set the course record, got to feel a little bit for Louis Doppler to set the course record and then have it taken away from him the very next day. But yeah, I can't think of a better word to describe it than domination from Jed Morgan.
It's interesting, isn't it? 4 scores in the 60s. Obviously, Sunday, the worst of the 4 at 69, but at no stage did it really slip away. And to be fair, it was pretty unassuming to start round 1. I think he really got the ball rolling with his eagle at 12 on that first day, and he kind of gathered a bit of momentum to finish. I think it was 2 shots back from Louis on that first day. But from that point forward, you and I were joking on Saturday night, can he be caught?
No,
But out the gate here on Sunday, he's a birdie on the first, and it was pretty much a coronation from that point forward.
Yeah, it was, and I think there's no doubt the course certainly helped him. He had great course knowledge, home track advantage, but I think that's where there were plenty of other guys in the field who had played this course plenty of times before, and he just managed to take advantage of it the best. So I think what was really pleasing as well was the putting. I think that's been, I vaguely recall in our first conversation that we'd had with him that his putting was something that he was really trying to work on. There was an absurd stat through 3 rounds that they put out on the broadcast that he'd only had 72 putts or something. I don't know what
I think
across
it was
3 rounds,
78 putts in 54 holes.
Yeah, enormous. So definitely had the putter rolling really well, as did a lot of guys across the course of the week. But I'm just having a look here at his scorecard again. 2 bogeys on the front 9 across the course of the week and 4 across the back 9. So 6 bogeys in a tournament that is so highly regarded in Australian golf is enormous for such a young guy.
And 3 of those 6 coming in the final round.
Yeah.
So he had three bogeys across 54 holes, the third of which, Drudes, came on the 54th hole. It was his 18th hole on Saturday.
Yeah.
And that ended a run of 40 consecutive holes without dropping a shot. I keep coming back to complete performance, because you mentioned the putter. He was strong off the tee. His second shot, which we spoke about in the preview, Mackenzie course, what's one of the essential characteristics is the importance of the second shot. It's not just about positioning yourself properly to attack the green. It's about knowing which club to pull and knowing how to attack the shot. And he had it in complete control. His wedges from around the green, his recovery shots. Like, there wasn't a weak element to his game. Some were stronger than others, but he didn't let himself down in any facet.
No, he didn't. And I think what pleased me most about this performance and changing tack a little bit from his golf is just his energy that he brought. You would have seen it firsthand in round one, but so evident through the broadcast that he was pumped up and about, lots of fist pumps, lots of come-ons, lots of getting the the members of Royal Queensland up and about as well. And that was just so refreshing to see. Like, we don't see that often at the PGA Tour level. So for a young guy to really come out of his shell on the biggest stage that there is in our game, in Australian golf anyway, was so refreshing to see, and something that I think is going to make him even more popular than he already is.
The "Yeah Baby" on the 17th tee on Sunday afternoon might have been my favourite part of the weekend. Obviously, I asked him about it there in the interview, but again, I just want to flag this quote, story from Tony Wiebeck, a good friend of the podcast, that he wrote in the aftermath of the win. And there's a quote from Jed that says, "The best thing I've done this week is just be myself." And I think that speaks volumes about the circumstances that you just described, because I'll tell you something I witnessed on Thursday. And that was, I think he was a little uncomfortable because obviously he'd been in that scenario before, incredibly popular member at Royal Queensland. We spoke to him back end of 2020, just after he'd won the Australian Amateur at the course, and obviously well supported, but nothing like what he experienced across the last 4 days in terms of not just the number of people, but obviously the television cameras, the commitments around pre and post round interviews. And I don't necessarily know that it was altogether comfortable out the gate for him. It was a little awkward, to be honest. Like, I watched him come to 17 on Thursday, and the gallery at the back in the stadium lit up chanting his name. It was like something out of the Gladiator. It was Jed, Jed, Jed. And he kind of he was enjoying it, but I think it was just a little uncomfortable. And you definitely felt in round two, he just kind of let the shackles go. And that was a direct correlation with how low he went. I mean, 63 course record on Friday. And how comfortable he was. I think he just let himself go to the moment and wasn't conscious of how he was appearing on the broadcast, or if he was, being too exuberant for golf, if there's such a thing. And that quote, I think, the best thing I've done this week is just be myself, is, for mine, that's a highlight of what's come out of the last 24 hours and all the things we've heard from him. You see how comfortable he was to express himself in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're completely right. That stuck out to me. There was a great interview that he did with Ewan Porter. I think it was on Saturday morning. I'm pretty sure it was Saturday morning on the range. And he just couldn't answer the questions because he was so flustered by it all. And he was like, "Oh, fuck, I've just got to relax." Ewan said, "Oh, what do you need to do over the next 36 holes?" And he said, basically, not do what I'm doing now and get flustered by the moment. So it was just funny bits like that you remember that this is a kid who's, so young and so close to the beginning of his golfing journey as a professional. To go out and do what he did was truly remarkable. And I think within golfing circles, it's probably got the love it deserves, but more broadly from the broader Australian media, I don't think people have given it the attention that it really deserves, to be honest.
No, well, he's vaccinated, mate, so he's not a sports star that's getting any sort of attention at the moment.
He's not getting deported.
It's interesting. I mean, you talked about some of the stats. You look at some of the records he broke. So, youngest ever winner of the PGA Championship, highest ever winning margin, previously held by Greg Norman at 8 strokes. He tops that. He smashes that with 11. And he equals at 22 under the scoring record of the tournament in his 4th start as a professional. So your mind can't help but wonder. I saw another great stat from Tony Weaver. Again, he's been busy, Tony, in the last 24 hours. His world ranking jumped more than 800 spots. I think he was somewhere between 1,000 and 1,100, and he's in the 200s now, courtesy of that win on the weekend. Obviously, and we mentioned this to him in the chat, but the opportunities that it opens, top 3 now in the order of merit, as per the announcement just before the start of the tournament, will receive their DP World Tour cards. There is no tournament for the remainder of the season or any part of the season that comes close to the purse here at the PGA. So he will have to go a long way not to be one of those three.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much locked it up, I think.
And the doors, Drews, that opens for such a young guy, for a guy that's clearly, whilst extroverted, incredibly grounded. And that's not an easy thing to do, is be brash and be confident, but have your 2 feet firmly planted on the ground.
No, it's refreshing. It's very refreshing to see in golf, because so often we get the introverted and that's it, or we get the very extroverted. And I think he's got such a level head on him for such a young guy. He's got a massive future ahead of him. The next challenge is obviously going to Europe and seeing what he can do over there, and then hopefully one day the States. But again, so young to be holding the Joe Kirkwood above his head. He was so proud to be holding it. And yeah, I was just filled with pride watching it. I was so pumped to see a guy that obviously we've kept in touch with and we've spoken to plenty of times. But yeah, just one of the true nice guys of golf, and super, super pumped for him.
It's funny, and this will be the final thing I want to say about Jed, is it was clear to me in person on Thursday, and then watching the broadcast over the final 3 days, and then in the last half an hour that we've just spent with him, that he is the exact same guy that we spoke to more than a year ago and close to 100 episodes ago as an amateur who just won the Australian Amateur. He has not changed a bit, down to the fact that, he got back to us the day after he won the Australian PGA in his Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, boys, love to have a chat.
I think it might be his girlfriend still running that, just FYI. Pretty sure it is.
Good on you, Ellie. But if, and I have no doubt this will be the case, if he can maintain that, I think that will take him further in his golf career than any shot that he plays, any deal that he strikes. It will be remaining true to who he is. That will be the core of his success, because it's taken him this far in 4 starts, and I shudder to think how far it could take him across the course of his career.
It's very well put. I completely agree with you. That rounds out Jed, I think.
Yeah, comfortably.
Who else did you want to mention? Just on the side before we get to Suo.
Yeah, and obviously there's plenty to touch on with Suo, a remarkable performance in and of itself at the WPGA. Look, looking down the leaderboard, I do want to make mention of Andrew Dote. So 35-year-old, Novocastrian, looks a little out of place when you look at the other gentlemen in the top 4 in terms of Morgan, Dobler, Lee, young Australian shooting stars. Doty's been around for quite some time. I think they said 2016. He was also a runner-up at the Australian PGA. He actually played alongside Wazza in the group with Jared Felton on the first 2 days. So I watched a bit of him on Thursday. Incredibly unassuming, but remarkably consistent. So you would have seen it, particularly on Sunday, playing alongside Jed. None of the bells and whistles, Doty. He just goes about his business. But, to plug away, and we spoke about those 3 DP World Tour cards available for the Order of Merit. He would be pretty close now with some consistent performances in the next couple of weeks. Wrapping up that second spot when the wobbles were on a little bit in the back 9 and Louis Dobler was coming strong. Huge performance from him and could be quite significant in terms of what his season looks like next year.
Yeah, 100%. Not a sexy golfer, is he? He's just goes about his business but hits the ball incredibly pure, as did Louis Dobler. Obviously, you were out there, so you've probably got a better handle on things, but played really nicely, obviously, across those first two rounds in particular. But yeah, I don't know. It's just consistent golf from Louis, and I think that was really pleasing to see.
It was excellent, particularly that first day. I caught him off the tee and I walked the first with him, but then I doubled back to make sure I got the first couple of holes with Wazza. And as much as I love the Wizard, it was hard not to be drawn in by the momentum that was the Dobler train. So got on that, as you would have seen on the stories, and followed him for his back 9. And it was a near faultless display. Obviously ended up being the course record 64 that lasted for all of 24 hours, and highlighted by that Duncan eagle on the second, which is comfortably, and there was a lot of great shots out there this week, Druids, but that's comfortably my short shot of the week.
Agree.
Is the hole out eagle on 2. I just think, unfortunately for him, I mean, if you look at it in isolation and you take out Jed, which sounds strange given he won the tournament, but, you know, you can throw a blanket over the rest of the guys. 11 under is second, and then you got 10, couple of 9s, couple of 8s, couple of 7s. So, you know, Louis, on a normal weekend, when you don't have a guy who equals the scoring record of the tournament, he's right at the pointy end. And I think he'll rue some missed opportunities on Saturday. That kind of back 9 on Saturday really cost him, to probably apply a little bit more pressure on Jed. But really happy for him in the way he performed. And I just want to give him a shout out. He was the first guy out in the green for Jed on Sunday afternoon. You know, he'd wrapped up 2 groups earlier, probably disappointed given how he started the tournament with how he ended it. And in the space of 10 minutes, had the wherewithal to gather himself, grab a bottle of champagne and go and shower one of his best mates in the game, which I think speaks volumes to him as an individual.
He had a bit of trouble with the champagne.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw that. Wasn't the greatest spray.
No.
But he's coming back on the pod in a few weeks, so we'll have to bail him up and, you know, get him some lessons. Who else did you want to mention? I just wanted to make note of Minwoo Lee. I thought, 4 rounds under par. 68, 70, 69, 68. I probably expected a little better from him. I know, and to your point there, if you take Jed Morgan out of the equation, it is finishing in a tie for 3rd. I just would have thought a player of his stature inside the top 50 in the world would have applied a little more pressure. He certainly struggled early on. There was no doubt that there were some times where he didn't look comfortable, particularly on the greens. I think he was driving the ball really well, but his putting certainly let him down. Don't know if that's fair to say from what you saw of the great man.
I think the course got him a little bit true. He had some interesting comments pre-tournament. I was having played a couple of warm-up rounds, and then the Pro-Am, he said it was quirky, and I liked that because it is. Like, I don't necessarily think broadcast, and definitely the content that I posted on our channels on Thursday went anywhere close to doing that course justice of what it's like actually on the ground. And we'll get to that in a moment, but I just think the course got to him a little bit. Definitely improved as the weekend went along. Obviously, nearly aces the 17th on Sunday, and that would have been, or was that Saturday?
Saturday.
Saturday. So, and that would have been remarkable, really. Would have lifted the roof off. I think I said it would have drunk the place dry. I've got no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But I just think the course took some prisoners over the weekend.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that, and you only have to look at the amount of doubles and triples on the scorecard to see that certainly by no means something you could just plot your way around and post a score. It required clearly a little bit of local knowledge, but also a bit of conviction in your shots. And I think with his time again, would have loved to go lower. But I also think the way that he finished bodes well for his next few weeks. Jump straight on a plane over to Abu Dhabi into the European Tour event this week, and I'm sure he'll get his season off to a good start.
DP World Tour, thanks, mate. Put $1 in the jar. Just a couple of other names I wanted to make mention of, friends of the pod. Aaron Pike started so well. That first round was really electric, and then I think it kind of, I don't know, he's maybe a little bit of indicative of where Pikey is at, the poor bloke, in his career. I mean, with a 74 on Saturday, that really sort of hurt his chances, albeit the tournament was done and dusted, but just electric that first day. And then, there were a couple of little moments in the broadcast that I saw where people were heckling him from the crowd. I think he was being heckled about the state of origin or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he hit a shot. I think it was on 2 on maybe Saturday, or it could have even been Sunday, actually. And as soon as he hit the shot, he just whipped around and stared someone down. And then Ewan Porter was walking in that group and said, someone's just heckled him about the state of origin, which is a fucking weird heckle because the bloke originates from Darwin. So anyway.
Also, there's probably a number of people I'd line up for a heckle before Pikey in that field.
He's the nicest guy there.
Also scares the shit out of me, to be honest.
He does.
He was electric on on Thursday. 6 under 65 was awesome. And obviously the best of the best until Louis Dobler came along and shoots the course record and beats him by one. But Pikey, I think I agree. Rui's his missed opportunities on Saturday. Had a very brief chat to him post Sunday, and I think a little bit dirty and keen to make amends. It backs up again straight away this week at the Queensland PGA at the Nudgee Golf Club. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him contend there again. He hit the ball really, really pure. It was actually a really entertaining group to watch a bit of. It was him and Kirsten Rudgley, the amateur from WA, who hits a big ball on the WPGA side. That was a really entertaining group to walk around with for a few holes on Thursday. So, yeah, credit to Pikey. It was great to see his name at the pointy end there for a little while.
It was. A couple more just from me because we got to get to the women's side, and I want to get your takes before we get to an interview that we've got. Jake Mcleod. I thought that was good to see, 8 under. Disappointing Sunday, 1 over, but I thought there were some positive signs there for Jake. And then shout out Hayden Barron. First start as a pro, finishes T12, takes home 17 grand at 6 under par, alongside my tip, which was Elvis Smiley. Probably a little disappointing from Elvis at times, but certainly a young player who's only going to learn and grow from that experience. That's probably everyone that I really wanted to shout out. I mean, there's heaps of people who didn't make the cut that are friends of the pod and whatnot, but was there anyone else from the men's side?
So I'll echo your thoughts on Jake Mcleod, 67 Friday, Saturday. It's probably the best golf we've seen out of him in some time. And he looked like the guy that won his way onto the European Tour a few years ago by topping the Australian Order of Merit. And that was really nice to see, a local Queenslander playing well in front of a Queensland crowd. So hopefully that bodes well for his next few months in Europe itself. Hayden Barron, awesome Sunday. Like that's, he scraped into the cut, which is great in your first start as a pro. And all you can ask is to get better as the tournament goes along. And his Sunday was unreal. Similarly, and I want to shout out another friend of the pod, Brett Rankin, who was unreal. So Sunday was 65 for Brett. That's a 6 under and shot himself up the leaderboard. So he finishes in a tie for 9, a shot ahead of Hayden Barron. Elvis was, I watched a fair bit of Elvis on that first day because he was in a group with, and this is going to test my memory. That's shocking.
Couldn't tell you.
No, he might have been because Clates was on his bag. He didn't have Grace Kim because Grace Kim was with Jeff Ogilvy on the first day. I think he might have been with Sue O because I remember the broadcast on Friday talking about the fact Clates caddied for it at Rio. So it was Sue O and someone else. That's terrible.
That's okay. There's been a lot of golf.
His rhythm is aspirational. It's so there's some rough edges around the sides of Elvis's game, which is completely understandable for a guy that's this young and so early in his pro career. And I think his swing is so sustainable for long-term success. But holy moly, his rhythm is unbelievable. It was a pleasure to watch him up close. Gailey, I just want to make special mention of Gailey. A typical Gale Force performance. It had its highest of highs and
crescendo.
And much like Icarus, at times he flew a little too close to the sun. But shit, he hit some impressive shots.
How's the bump and run with the 3-wood? The chip in. That's awesome.
And I don't know if he saw, because obviously it came up on the broadcast, but then he shared on his Instagram story someone who was at the course with video behind him, and he knew from 5 or 6 meters out. He had the hand up in the air, he was walking towards it in typical Gale Force fashion. So great to see Gailey.
Love it.
The only other person I want to make mention of, and it seems odd, it's just because he holds a very special place in our heart, and that's Wazza. Wazza had a tough run. Didn't make the weekend, and certainly didn't walk away with his head out high. He was dirty on himself, and I can say that firsthand. But just a guy that we root for pretty strongly, and really, really great to get the opportunity to walk around with him on Thursday and see him go about his business. So just a shout out to Woz. Thanks for his company, and thanks for getting me in the door. Thanks, Woz.
What about on the women's side? Suo, 10 under, 4-shot winner over Grace Kim. Just really I think we said Jed Morgan was dominant. I think Suo, the word that comes to mind was classy for me. I don't know. She just strikes the ball so incredibly well. Again, the putter was so good. And just the way that she was able to overcome a pretty poor Friday by her standards, 1 over par, 72. Had 2 rounds on Friday and Saturday on the back 9, both over par. So really did a lot of work on the front 9. Had a 32 on Saturday on the front 9. So was in some vein of form. But yeah, I don't know, just a really classy performance from Suo. She is an immense talent, and I think probably doesn't get enough accolades in the golfing space. Obviously, up against some really big names in Minjee Lee and Hannah Green, etc. But just really happy for Suo. She was incredibly silky to watch out there in that group alongside Elvis and the person I can't remember from Thursday. So I think what will get lost in this conversation is the fact that with the withdrawal of her good friend, best friend, Hannah Green, and then the late withdrawal as a result of a positive COVID diagnosis of Steph Kyriakou, I think the pressure was heaped on Suo on Thursday morning. Probably Sarah Jane Smith was the other one that there would have been a bit of expectation around. And that's purely because the remainder of the field was, with the greatest respect to a lot of good friends of the podcast who've been on, just unproven so far, so early in their careers. And it would have been easy for Sue, I think, to maybe be a little bit rattled by that pressure, but she took everything in her stride. She had Grace Kim at many stages ahead of her, and at the stages she wasn't breathing down her neck and biting at her heels. And incredible composure. I want to make special mention of her shot from off the green on 13 on Sunday, in a spot where you're absolutely dead on that course, and had watched, Andrew Doe did a similar shot and rolls the putter from off the green straight in the middle of the cup. And she wouldn't know that Grace ahead of her had dropped shots, but that was a defining moment for me. Yeah. That was really the sealer. And, she goes in. How did she go in from there? She went par, birdie. And that's all she needed to do. But that shot, I think, really sent her home. So awesome to watch up close. She's so early in her LPGA career. I think it's a promising one. I also just want to make special mention of the fact that she's the inaugural winner of the Kari Webb Cup. And also, as a previous holder of the Kari Webb Scholarship, they enjoy a very close relationship. I wouldn't understate what that meant to her to be the first winner of the Kari Webb Cup. And what an honour it should be to any golfer of this country to win a cup named in honour of our greatest ever player. I'm sure that was incredibly special. She made mention specifically of looking forward to getting back over to Florida and celebrating with her in the very near future. So, yeah, she was awesome to watch go about her business on Thursday and for the remainder of the weekend, and a very worthy winner. Sarah Jane Smith was probably a little disappointing on Sunday by her standards. Was in with a chance, and then finished third at 4 under. The two I want to make note of is obviously Grace Kim finishing in second place. She had two back nines, again Saturday and Sunday, where she shot over par 37. She had a double both days. On the Saturday it was on the par 5 15th, and on Sunday the par 4 13th. So incredibly disappointing for Grace. Obviously I was cheering for her to get over the line over Suo. No disrespect to Sue if she's listening, but and then Karis Davidson, I thought, for such a young player, showed a lot of maturity to really bounce back from a 1 over par Saturday to fire a 3 under 68 to finish and finish in the top 5 as well. So they're just the two that I wanted to shout out from the female side. Yeah, and I echo your thoughts on Grace. She's obviously my tip last week. So for more than one reason, I was shouting on the television on Sunday afternoon. She was so impressive to watch up close. I'm reticent to heap any sort of expectation on or pressure on where I think the trajectory of Grace Kim might go, but I don't say this lightly. Reminded me an awful lot of Nelly Corder to watch up close, and there's a variety of things there. I think it's the build, it's that long limb build, it's the swing, which she's not like
she's not hitting the cover off the ball, but all of her power is generated out of the momentum of the big swing arc.
Yeah.
And it's so pure. It looks effortless. The distance she gets off the tee, the control she has with her irons, and putts the ball well. Honestly, like there were times I had to have a double take. It looked a lot like watching Nelly Corder. So she's still got a bit of growing up to do, Grace.
Yeah.
You know, that's how early she is in her career. And yeah, I'm really bullish about where she'll go. You know, when she gets in kind of into her early 20s. And then Karis was awesome to watch, particularly on the greens. Like her composure with the putter in hand. She sunk some big putts, particularly early in the week. And I'm sure that there'll be elements of her game she'd be disappointed with that would have got her closer. But, you know, she heads back over the LPGA herself. And I'll be really interested to watch how she goes, because it's another step up again. But really seemed to enjoy. That's what I think the thing that I took from walking around with her on Thursday, enjoyed the experience. Never wasn't smiling, irrespective of the result of her shots. And I'll be interested to see how she just handles a bit more of the cut and thrust of the LPGA. But the two of them are awesome to watch. Kirsten Rudgley in person is impressive. Like, hits a heavy and a big ball.
Yep.
And, you know, we've seen countless examples of that overseas. You know, Atai Titakul, Paddy Tawatanigat. You hit a long ball in the women's game, you got a massive leg up, and that's Kirsten Rudgley. And yeah, I mean, I think I suppose others that were impressive for me, although the score probably doesn't see. Cassie Porter in her first event as a professional. I think she definitely did well in patches, and also Crystal Blum as well. So really enjoyed the opportunity to watch the WPGA on Thursday and across the weekend. I'm a little torn about whether or not I would have liked to have seen Suo and Grace Kim go head to head in a group.
No, I would have. I absolutely would have. That was one of the points that was probably a little disappointing in the way that it all kind of finished up. I think they could have done it, to be honest. I don't know. I agree with you. I would have loved to see it happen.
I get the challenges of scheduling and groupings, and a lot of it is dictated to by broadcast as well. And then what do you do? Because obviously you've got a group. I think the second last group was Macleod, Mcleod, and Kim. Was that second last group?
I think
I got that right. Yeah,
I think so, possibly.
Right. And so then are you creating a group in between Dote and Morgan and pulling up Micheluzzi and creating a women's group to it would have, I think, been a little bit messy, but I don't know. I just think that there's a part of me that would have loved to have seen them in the same group on the broadcast. And I had someone message me, a listener of the podcast, talk about it was a little disappointing to see Suo's moment overshadowed.
Yeah, agree.
On the green on Sunday. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that I agree. I think there's a lot of circumstances that surround that in terms of a guy playing in his home course, winning in his fourth start and winning by such a large margin. I don't know that would have been improved if she was literally the group before, because it would have lasted for all of 5 minutes, and then he's on the green and he's winning again. So I think, circumstances conspired against it, but I did feel that. I felt like she put the putt in, and it was kind of like, because Jed's putting, and it was, it lost a bit of luster for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They wouldn't have been able to do the champagne celebration or anything either if they were a group ahead. So, what are your takes from out there? You were on the ground, KM. I mean, I only got to see the broadcast. Very briefly. I don't want to go into too much detail. I thought Thursday, Friday was really good. Come the weekend, it was fucking chockers with ads, little tidbits of random shit that they tried to throw in. We don't get a hell of a lot of golf broadcast over here, so. I've heard the No Laying Up guys bang on about ad loads for a long time, but I kind of understood what they were talking about a little bit.
Mate, the fact that we cut away to an ad after the tee shot on 18, to come back literally as Jed Morgan was standing over his ball, that's bad.
I agree.
That honestly, for me. Because I don't know how much you saw of this in the broadcast, because I didn't see much of it, obviously being out there of the course on Thursday, but from 17 green, you actually had to walk back through. So you had the grandstand that was at the back of 17, but then you had like the entertainment area to the left-hand side as you're looking at the hole of 17. And that's where a couple of the bars were. The DJ was in there. You actually had to walk through that section to get to 18T. That's out the back. So for mine, it's a no-brainer. You do not break from the moment Jed Morgan walks off the tee at 17. You've got a camera on his shoulder walking through that. So he had to literally walk through the gallery to get to 18. And imagine what that footage would have been like.
Yep.
Instead, what we did was we cut to an ad. We got his tee shot. We cut to another ad. We didn't even get his walk up to his ball.
No.
Like, for me, like, I agree with you. The commercial load, it was the hit and giggle stuff. Like, I can do without, and I'm loath to criticise because I know there was probably a significant amount of money that came with it, but I can do without the activation from Sonic on the fourth tee, where like we got groups coming through and the pros hit and then some random hits for charity. Now, outcome, great, but no one obviously got the $1 million for charity. Process shithouse because all the momentum is killed by like, okay, we're going to get you 3 pros to hit and then we've got to all wait around to get someone on camera to hit. I saw in our messages, one of the players got hit
James
by
Grierson.
a ball.
Yeah.
James Grierson
Gabby
got
Simpson.
hit by a ball.
Yeah.
This is a guy playing in the tournament and a person in this hit and giggle activation has hit him with a ball.
I thought it was farcical. Like, what happens? What hole was it? 14?
4.
So say the tournament's a bit closer than what it was. Say Andrew Dote, Jed Morgan going head to head, they're even. Jed sticks his shot to 3 feet. Andrew Dote, 5 feet. This celebrity hits their shot and somehow knocks Jed's ball off the back of the green.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for the activation. Like, don't get me wrong. I thought I saw them doing it as a standalone segment, and I thought that was it. But when you text me about it and you were like, there's celebrities hitting off, like that can affect the outcome of the golf tournament. Like we nearly had someone retire hurt because they couldn't hit the fucking ball.
Can we put it on Thursday?
Yeah, not Sunday.
Why is it happening on Sunday?
Yeah.
I know why, because Sonic have paid top dollar to be in the final round and part of the broadcast and all that.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit how close Luke Hodge puts it to the pin on 4. What I want to see is the build of momentum towards the end of the round.
Yeah.
I have to stop after every 3 tee shots to ring up fucking Warren Smith out of the commentary team to hit a shot. Hit a good shot but don't care.
No, I agree. Completely agree.
That shit on Thursday.
What was takes from on the ground? What was on the ground?
So a couple of things. Really impressed by the crowd. So, and it only built like shit. The Saturday, Sunday numbers, particularly Sunday, were super impressive. The pictures of like fairways lined with people.
Yeah. Considering,
I think, particularly the environment over here in Queensland at the moment, we're obviously a little bit behind our brothers and sisters in New South Wales and Victoria, but the cron is on the move big time. Now you had to be fully vaccinated to enter the event. You had to show proof of that upon entry. So probably a little less concern, but still, I think given the environment over here at the moment, really impressive to see people actively vote with their feet of a major golf tournament in our backyard. So there's that. Hugely impressed by the course. So first and foremost, condition. The green staff deserve an enormous pat on the back. The way they presented that course, and when you consider, I think personally it got better as the week went on, which isn't an easy task when you've got an awful amount of foot traffic over it that it doesn't usually have. It's one of the most absolutely. It's one of the most exclusive courses in Queensland, to the extent that that's the first time I've ever been there, was walking the PGA, and that would have been the case for a lot of people who came through the door. So it's not used to that amount of foot traffic. It handled it incredibly well, and I know that there was a lot of contention around taking it away from Raw Pines. Raw Pines is an excellent tournament venue. The land that this is on, I think, is so well suited to hosting the infrastructure that's required for a major tournament like this, in terms of like, yes, there were grandstands, there were amenities, there were bars and everything. I didn't feel cramped any time on any part of the property. It was wide open, beautiful place to walk. And then just finally, the actual course itself, like I had a couple of messages replying to stories from Thursday of what I was posting from out there saying, geez, it just looks like a flatter, more boring version of Raw Pines. And I felt bad. I felt like I wasn't I wasn't doing a good enough job.
Good justice.
Yeah. And I don't think that that the broadcast, and definitely not my stories that I was posting on Thursday, could go anywhere close to doing justice to that course. Everything you'd expect from a Mackenzie course. No two lies are the same. You're hitting balls from above your feet, below your feet. Incredible green complexes. I don't think that was coming across on the television. The greens out there are ridiculous. And so the value that it places on, accuracy of your approach is incredible. And just the changes in elevation, the undulations in the fairways, I've not seen a course like it in Queensland. And Royal Pines is probably on a path to where that is, but I don't think it's near the extent of Royal Queensland. I was super, super impressed. I felt like giving Clates a pat in the back when I was walking near him on Thursday to say, I know you're a traditionalist and you're probably a little bit of a Mackenzie snob, to be honest. I'm not surprised you didn't do much in terms of material changes. But like a lot of that screamed, of the very rudimentary knowledge I have of Mackenzie, a lot of that screamed Mackenzie at me. And that's credit to Clates, who's done an entire redevelopment of the course.
It's interesting. I saw those comments of people saying it's a flatter version of Royal Pines. Like, Royal Pines isn't that hilly. Like, I don't know what the fuck everyone was talking about. I was like, I've played it. I've played Royal Pines.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was probably one of the most flat courses that I've played. There's an element of slope to it, but it's not a hilly golf course by any stretch. So, but you did a great job out there, mate. You did a very good job on the socials, capturing some content, couple of little piece to cameras as well, which was nice to
PTCs.
see. Nice
Phone
to
went
see.
dead. Too much content.
I know. And you got in the gate. So congratulations. Well done on getting through the gate unscathed. But no, you did a really good job, mate. Just
on that note, I know we want to wrap up very shortly. Finally, I think we owe a pat on the back to the PGA of Australasia and the PGA, and the Australian PGA for that matter. Put on a great tournament.
Yep.
Put on a great event.
Absolutely.
Struck a really good broadcast deal that put Fox on the ground. Who, despite our complaints about the age schedule, for the main part, I thought the broadcast was awesome. Particularly, I want to shout out Nick Ahern. I thought Nick Ahern's addition to that commentary team and his insight was unreal. Ports did an outstanding job as always on the ground, but Nick Ahern, I thought, just brought an extra element. So that's credit to the PGA for striking that broadcast deal. Created a really good event on the ground. The activations out there, what was on offer for people, and I think the courage of their convictions to move it. It's been comfortable at Royal Pines for 10 years, and it wouldn't have been an easy decision to say we're going to take it to one of the most exclusive private courses in Queensland. It wouldn't have been an easy decision, and I think that they were rewarded handsomely. So credit where it's due to the PGA. It was an awesome event.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be interesting to see what the broadcast looks like across all the rest of the tournaments that they're going to broadcast. I dare to say that it's probably not going to have the same level of investment as the Australian PGA, but very much looking forward to that. And also, I know we're just winding things up here, but the announcement of the increased prize purse for next year for this year's, I guess, Australian PGA up to $2 million. It'll return to the DP World Tour. So very exciting, despite all our potential criticisms and questions that we asked at the time, but we were right in asking them. So great to see. Just thought we'd jam that in at the back of our chat here to wrap things up.
2 PGAs in the same year, back at Royal Queensland at the back end, Drew. It's
awesome.
I think December. So
I'll be there.
I was going to say, we might even look at getting you over. We could get a start. We've got 9 months to lay the groundwork for a start in the Pro-Am.
Settle down. We were told very firmly it was a no, mate. So
I just want before we go, I think it would be remiss to mention Hideki Matsuyama winning his 8th PGA Tour title.
Was there a PGA Tour event on this week?
Yeah, so I saw roughly 10 minutes of PGA Tour golf this week, and it was the final hole and the playoff hole at the Sony Open at Wailea Country Club. Hideki Matsuyama entered the 18th, the 72nd hole in regulation, a shot behind Russell Henley, and swung his proverbial balls off the tee, took a stupid line cutting over trees, and then hit an eagle, I think, or it was a birdie on the 18th. And then Drew had had Louis Dobler not dunked his eagle on the second on Thursday, Hideki Matsuyama's approach into the first playoff hole,
3-wood,
which was 277 yards.
It's
So what's
phenomenal.
that? 255 to mid 250 meters. Off the deck, 3-wood, 177 miles per hour ball speed. So again, swung his willy off and stuck it to 3 feet. It was
Amazing.
One of the more remarkable shots I've ever seen. And
Absolutely.
further proof to me that guy is a unicorn. Led the field this week in putting, and we know when that happens, Hideki wins. If he finds the putter at all, Hideki wins and secures his 8th PGA Tour title, which starts to put him in rare air. So
Great.
Congratulations to Hideki, and congratulations to Kevin Na, who put Grayson Murray in an absolute body bag this week on Twitter.
Very good.
Very briefly for those who missed it, Kevin Na in a bit of strife about pace of play this week. Grayson Murray, bad guy, just quietly. Twitter profile pic is him and Trump. I'll tell you all you need to know. Grayson Murray tweeted, Kevin Na's pace of play is getting old. And Kevin Na finished his round, got on Twitter and quote tweeted and said, "You missing cuts is getting old."
Brilliant.
Which was awesome.
Emotional damage.
Well done, Kevin. That'll probably do us.
It will. Let's get to our interview that we've got.
Yeah, geez, we've got a few
oh boy,
content coming out your nose in the next couple of weeks.
I can confirm, I did a count before, we have 15 interviews to publish or to record and publish in the next couple of weeks. And we've got sitting on the other end of our line in our waiting room at the moment is Laurie Flint. So that one will be coming out soon. So we'll get him in and we'll get him on the broadcast.
Good man, Druids. Congratulations once again to Jed Morgan, good friend of the podcast, an unbelievable win, and to Sue O, similarly remarkable win. The Australian PGA and WPGA wrapped for another year. We'll be back later this week or next?
Next week.
One or two? Next week. Give yourself a week off. Good to see you, Dreads, as always. Look forward to your company next week.